Hi and welcome to today's video. This is going to be my August update for Welcome to the Hellmouth Project Pan, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer themed project created by Ceylan, and it's a PANtastic Ladies collab, so lots of people are doing it. Apologies if you can hear the little plane going by overhead. I am talking about a season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with each update I do for this project. And this time we're talking about season 5. Season 5 is very exciting. There was a huge issue. So the show, I think, was made on the network, the WB, and then they were cancelling it after season 5. But then the show got bought by another network. But the original network still promoted the season 5 finale as the series finale. I think the show was kind of ready to end then if it absolutely had to, but then it got bought and got put onto another network, and we got season 6 and 7, which I look forward to talk about next month and the month after. But so the season 5 finale was a very big deal. It wasn't just, you know, any old season finale. They and it did start my misunderstanding of the word season and the word series and what they meant, because it was promoted as the series finale, and then it was actually just the season finale of season 5 because the show in fact did go on. But anyway, that's kind of why the end of season 5 is so epic, and I think it's really, really good. I would have been devastated if that was the end of the show, but it was very good, and it could have been, you know, a complete story, just the 5 seasons, if they wanted to do it like that. Though, personally, I think ending on a more uplifting note than it ends on is better. Anywho, we have a lot of stuff going on in season 5, and I'd say the big first thing is that we're introduced to Dawn, this new character, and Buffy's little sister, despite the fact that we've been told several times Buffy's an only child. When I watched this live, I was flabbergasted. I was like, what is going on? This is lies. What is this? I was absolutely shocked and very confused and really like dedicated to figuring out what the hell was going on. So anyway, I used to buy the Buffy magazine, but in particular I was buying it in this period because I was like, there has to be some information about who the hell Dawn is and where she came from, and Buffy doesn't have a sister, what's going on? So it had a huge impact on me, and I know some people don't like Dawn's character. I was much younger than Buffy and her peers, so having a younger character, Dawn would have still been older than I was. That was more parallel to my age than Buffy, etc. were, because I was watching the show younger. But I think they needed a younger character because they were afraid that, Buffy et al. Were getting too old and they needed young people to start watching the show. But I've been watching the show since I was very, very young. I've been watching it the whole time. So I don't know if I was quite 7, if I started when the show very first aired. But, certainly by the time I was 10, I was watching every episode every week. I was obsessed. So it wasn't kind of necessary for them to get this younger character, but it worked. And I love Michelle Trachtenberg because of Harriet the Spy, the film. She's so good in that. And I thought it was lovely to see her in this, and living the dream because she was a fan of the show and she told her agent that she wanted to get on the show. I think like a background part, a Monster of the Week, anything. She was like, I want to be on Buffy. And obviously then she became a main character. So I think that's awesome. It seems that she wasn't treated very well on set, and that's really unfortunate. And the whole atmosphere on set of Buffy wasn't as good as you would want it to be, and lots of the actors were not treated very well by production, by Joss Whedon in particular, and that's horrible, absolutely awful. But I like Dawn, and for me, because I am a big sister, I have a little sister, Buffy's feelings to Dawn were very understandable to me. That, obviously she was annoyed by her or whatever, but she would do anything for her, she would die for her. That 100% makes sense to me. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my sister, no matter what. So it just makes so much sense to me that Buffy loves her sister, and her sister being this motivator for her to take care of, etc. And previously the show had used Willow and even Xander and stuff as like these, you know, ordinary people that Buffy had to protect sometimes. But, you know, Xander doesn't have any powers, but he knows what he's doing, and he's part of the team. Willow has tremendous powers. And then a little bit Tara could become that figure of, you know, being scared, showing the audience something was really scary, etc. And like in Hush in the last season. But even Tara has powers, you know, so none of the other characters were really working as that, you know, the victim that Buffy could go and save and protect. So writing Dawn in makes a lot of sense. And then our other character that is introduced that I think is very important is Glory, the villain for season 5. And what a good villain. What an excellent villain. I don't have any little strappy dresses, but I am wearing red in her honour because that's very much Glory's colour. What a just great character. She's not in that many episodes, and in a way that's a shame, but at the same time, you know, Quentin and the council suck, but I love Quentin's line, she's not a demon, she's a god. When the villain you're fighting, when the big bad you're fighting is an actual god, they can just kill you. And Buffy gets her ass kicked a whole bunch of times, and they're really struggling. They have to literally run away in this season. They can't just stand up to her and fight back and work together and fight back. You know, it's the biggest bad they've ever faced, and they're really, you know, they're nearly defeated by her. So you couldn't really have her be in more episodes. You know, if she was in every episode, then the season should be shorter because Buffy should be killed earlier and all kinds of things, and that would be a problem. So in a way it's a shame because Claire Kramer is so good and the character is so good and fun to watch that she isn't in more, but it works. You know, you can't believe she's a god who has all that power if she's just going up against them every week and for no reason in particular chooses to let them live. That doesn't really work. So I think it's quite well done and well balanced given the powers that she has and the situation that they're in. So my favourite episodes of the... Sorry, I have a hair sticking to my eye. Of the season are The Gift, the finale. I think it's incredible. I think it's really beautiful. I think Buffy sacrificing herself for her sister is beautiful, and to save the world is beautiful, and exactly, you know, in character, and it's a huge development of her character actually, because quite rightly we see her in season 1 say, I'm only 16, I don't want to die. But the reality is her job as the Slayer, as the chosen one, is, if necessary, lay down her life to save the world. And, you know, she's only in her early 20s. She still is far too young to die, but she, you know, she's grown into her role and she chooses to lay down her life and save the world and save her sister in particular. And I think it's really beautiful. The goodbye to Dawn and then running and jumping and the music, and it's quite like the Buffy and Angel theme that you hear over and over again in the show, but a bit different, and it's an original composition for the show. It's just absolutely beautiful. So extremely well done. We also get some of my favourite stuff. Willow, the plane's going by again. Willow coming into her own, and, you know, Buffy being like, you are our strongest weapon, Willow. You have to. You're the only one who's made Glory hurt. And to me, I was like waiting for somebody to say that for so long, because Willow had become such a powerful witch. I was really like we were owed that, and to have Buffy say it, I think means a lot and is good, because obviously Buffy is the leader. She's the one chosen. She has no choice. She has to fight evil, etc. Willow doesn't have to, she chooses to, but for Buffy to admit, you know, I'm not the strongest fighter here, you're actually the strongest fighter here, you're our best weapon in this fight against evil, is, I think, a huge deal, and obviously works. I love as well that Anya it comes up with like the battle plan and the suggestions of, no, let's not give up. We could do A, B, and C to try and fight this god and try and survive. That's great. That's huge character development for Anya, who, you know, was running away from apocalypses just a couple of years prior. Checkpoint, absolute top fave episode of all time, having, you know, Buffy's speech taking down the Watchers Council, and again recognizing Willow, recognizing everybody and their contribution, including Xander. You know, it's true, he has clocked field time, he has been there, you know, from episode 1. Xander has been willing to put himself on the line in the fight to save his friends and save the world. And he has all this experience of fighting demons, even if he doesn't have a special skill set to do it. And then, you know, in season 6 and 7, we see his skill set of his job as a construction worker coming in very handy to fix the house every time it gets broken. So I love that speech in particular. I think it's great. Another one with a decent speech is Family, where we see Tara's like bigoted family who use this lie as an excuse to control the women in their family, and it's all a bit tight. It's like, do they just want to control women? Do they have a problem with Tara because she's gay? They're anti-magic, you know. It's kind of a bit of a mishmash, but it's like they're bigots, so they want to control people, and Tara wants to live her life, and the group stands up for her. And also Tara does a spell that goes wrong, which one of my favourite things that happens throughout the show, spells that go wrong, where they can't see demons because she thinks she's a demon, etc. So they're being attacked by demons, but they can't see them. So it's as if they're being attacked by invisible demons, and it's very funny and very good. And nice little speech at the end, and obviously Willow standing up for Tara, but Buffy and Dawn and everybody stands up for Tara, and she's kind of part of the group then, which is great. Real shame that Amber Benson wasn't made part of the main cast then, when literally you have the main cast of your show standing up and saying, she's one of us, you want to get her, you have to go through us. She should be in the main cast then. That it makes no sense that she's not. And in the season 6 update, we'll talk more about my feelings on that. I've got feelings. Spiral is another favourite, which is the third last episode of the season, and it's one where they're going around in like the holiday camper van thing. And there are lots of good things in that. There's comedy moments in the camper van. There's fighting the Knights of Byzantium, sword fights on the roof while it's moving. That's kind of a cool sequence. Even like not, I think it cost a lot for them to make it, but like not the highest production value by today's standards, but still some cool stuff. And but then my absolute favourite is the dome that Willow creates, and the various bits of magic that Willow does when they're like kind of have to make a stand, and because Giles has been seriously injured and they have to get a doctor and all this jazz. She makes the phone that hasn't worked in years and is like not connected to anything magically work. She creates this amazing dome that the knights who are attacking them can't get in. There are these like warlocks trying to break down the magic from the outside, and it stays up, and you know, that's how powerful Willow is, and I think that's very cool. And every time they're being attacked in the future, I'm like, I want to see Willow's dome. I want to see this magic shield. And she does do kind of a mini version of it in season 7 at one stage, but it's my favourite thing, and it should happen more. And there should be more epic battle scenes against big forces. I think that's loads of fun. And then another top favourite of this season is The Body, which is a devastating episode, and I'm sure there are people who can't watch it because it's such a moving portrayal of a death and grief. I love a cathartic cry. Like that's one of the reasons I enjoy TV and films and things. I absolutely love a good cry, and this is like a foundational death, foundational, you know, really, really good cry scene. There's another Buffy death that it would be similar for me, and then there's a death in the TV show Dexter, and those would be my kind of top 3 deaths That sounds terrible. But like most meaningful and devastating and impactful character deaths in TV shows that I've watched. And I think it's just so well done. And, you know, Sarah Michelle Gellar is excellent in it. Alison Hannigan, nobody can cry like Alison Hannigan can cry. And the kiss with Amber Benson, and then very quickly kind of mirrored, you know, she's kissed on the forehead and then kissed on the lips, and then just a few minutes later Xander comes in and he kisses her on the forehead, and it's just this beautiful like friendship and romance, and, you know, having people who love you is what you need in times of crisis. And, you know, your sexuality is somewhat irrelevant, but, you know, beautiful and part of it. Oh, really well done. And just, you know, what grief is like in terms of ridiculous nonsense can seem very important, like what top you wear to go and comfort your friend, and all kinds of things. And just, it's really beautiful. And seeing like Emma Caulfield, who is such a great comic actress, then do this really moving kind of breakdown scene, and you know, because she's not reacting the right way for Willow and things, and then she breaks down and explains why this is so sad and devastating, and it's so understandable, and it's really beautiful. So I love season 5. I love it a lot. Glory is definitely my number one thing, because for me, Buffy is about, you know, fighting the good fight, saving the world, and what could be more clear than a hell demon trying to kill a teenage girl as evil that needs to be stopped. And Buffy gives her everything, including her life, to stop it. So I suppose, why don't I count Buffy's death as one of my top most impactful deaths? And it is very impactful, and the reaction of the other cast all around her, and as her body falls and everything, it's really beautiful. But I suppose I think at that stage I knew the show was coming back, and just in a supernatural show I was like, the lead isn't going to be dead forever. So I suppose it kind of was always going to be a bit less impactful in that way. So moving on to the actual makeup, which is what you're here for. Oh my god, I've talked about the show for 17 minutes. That's ridiculous. So we're going to move on and talk about the actual makeup, I promise. I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't care about the show at all, though, while you're watching my updates of so, because that's the whole point of me, for me, that's the point of this very fun project. So the first goal I've got here that I'm still working on is the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. So goal of 13 uses, and I've got 10 so far. So that's going great. It's lovely. It's just a bit intense, so I don't wear it every day. The next that I'm still working on is the, the first one, the prompt was Slayer, a product that slays. The next one is Scooby Gang, an item that never lets you down. So this is this Catrice, More Than Nude nail varnish. I'm wearing it today over a nude Sally Hansen opaque matte, but I don't know what words. And then this like a glitter top coat. I love this combo. I really, really like it. So I'm up to... This is 6 out of 13 uses. Yeah, no, okay. I have 9 out of 13 uses for last month. So I think I have made a mistake. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. I was reading the wrong thing. I'm sorry. 11 out of 13 uses. Yes, I was right. That was wrong. So I'm nearly finished that one, and I really love it. So that'll be no problem. Next is Magic Box, a magical item. This is the one I'm struggling with. So it's this shade here, this pink peachy shimmer. It's lovely. It's a bit flaky, so it kind of needs a glitter glue. It's not the most shiny and impactful shade, and I have a lot of pink eyeshadow, so I kind of feel like I'm wasting, and the rest of them I focus on this. So this is not going amazingly well, but I am up to 6 out of 13 uses, so I've still a decent amount of work to do on that. I do like it, and I love the palette. The rest of the palette's great. And I totally will use this 13 times, but it's just, it was a lot of uses for one shade. Next up is In Every Generation There Is a Chosen One, a powerful item. So this is the foundation I'm wearing today. It's the Catrice All Matte Plus Shine Control Makeup. I absolutely love this. So as you can see, it's nearly finished, and it's just deposited along the edges. So I'm struggling to get the rest out of this, so I'm going to have to leave it sitting upside down. And there's maybe only one use left in this, because I use a lot of foundation because I have such oily skin, that if I don't use a lot, it'll just be gone very quickly. So it's probably one, maybe two, and particularly maybe one full use of this, and then my last use might be half this and mix it with something else. So I am very nearly finished this, but not quite. Loving it though. Great formula and good colour for me because it's very neutral. Next is, geez, I'm blind. Sunnydale, a yellow product, or a product that has yellow packaging. So for this, I have this Glam Shop Poland single shade in Dirty Yellow, and I have 2 uses out of 4 so far on this. So I still have, oh, it's such a beautiful colour. Look, I still have 2 more uses to go on that, and I really like it. It's a great shade. I've used it on the inner corner, and then I've used it all over the lid as well for different, and in the crease for 2 different looks so far. Next is Passion Rules Us All and We Obey, an item that exemplifies your passion for makeup, etc. And for this, I have Sweet Hollow from Glam Shop Poland, because it's a very special sparkly powder, and I'm in this hobby of makeup for sparkly powders. Look at it. Oh, phenomenal. So I've used that 2 out of my goal of 4 times. Also, obviously it's like, it's not an everyday shade, not so much because I like it's too much, because I wear glasses, so to be honest, no eyeshadow is really too much on me, even though I have very pale skin, so it can contrast a huge amount if it's a very dark shade. It's pretty non-negotiable with this shade that you would need glitter glue. So for me, that means it's not an everyday thing, because I can't just rush and put it on. I need to spend a little bit of time. So, and it's more a special occasion shade anyway, because it is so special. Next up, The Potentials, an item that you haven't tried yet, but has the potential to be amazing. So for this, I have the Glam Shop Poland shade Decorative, this one here. And it is lovely. I will say it's also very flaky, and therefore could kind of use a glitter glue. And then for me, what I want to do with it is often inner corner and things like that. So that's not necessarily a place I'm going to use a glitter glue. So I wish it was a bit less flaky. The shine on it is amazing. You know, it's met its potential there, but the user friendliness, just because it's so prone to enormous amounts of fallout, isn't 100%. Hellmouth, a black item in colour or packaging. So the It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara, which is both black and in black packaging. I really like it. I hear people say this is like the best mascara in the world. I'm not sure about that. I think it's really good. I'm continuing to use it. Goodbye, moth. Please, no, please leave. It's so warm, you have to have the windows open, and then you get flies and moths. Very annoying. So I am continuing to use that, and I want to use it up before it dries out, or like use a huge amount of it before it dries out. Next up is the Anointed One, a newer item in your collection. So for this, I have the Laura Geller highlighter, and this is the duochromatic one. So my goal is 5 uses on this. Can you see the duochrome? Maybe a little. My goal is 5 uses on this. I've used it once so far. It's not an everyday product for me because of the colour. It's a lovely formula though, and I really like it. So that's going fine. It's just, you know, give myself a few months to hit that. And I've other, obviously like the Becca highlighter and things that are in the project as well. So what goals have I already hit? this is exciting. So we have 4. The first one I've been working on for a long time is Once More with Feeling. So this was an item you want to sing about because it's so good. So I picked the Zoeva Premier palette. The Zoeva palettes in general I want to sing about. They're so amazing. But then I also picked a shade, Magisterial Vibrato, which is singing themed, because vibrato is a thing where you make your voice kind of wobble in an artistic, beautiful way. Or your musical instrument or whatever. On string instruments, they like shake the finger that's holding down the string to make it happen. And it's just this lovely neutral brown, very user friendly. So my goal was 13 uses and I've used it 14 times. So I am done with that, and I'm really happy to be done with that because most palettes have a brown, I really had to force myself to use it. You know, if I was using shimmers from another palette, I had to force myself to remember to go back and find that. So there are definitely days where I kind of intended to use it and then didn't. So it was slightly tricky to hit that 14 uses. I will say it doesn't look that used. Like, there was a very slight dip after 14 uses. And that is just, you know, I'm really buffing a bit into my crease, and I used it a lot on my like in a rush days, and don't have time to think about doing something big and creative with my makeup, so I was probably doing like that, and then maybe a single over the lid for a bit of shimmer or something like that. So I wasn't even going to town and using a lot of it. So it's not the best dip, and you certainly could get a much deeper dip if you were consciously trying to use up product. But I'm not in particular. That's a very user-friendly shade in that palette, and I love that palette. So I'm not, you know, I'm not devastated that I didn't hit pan or anything like that. But yeah, a very good shade and a very good palette. Next up is Watcher, an item that you have to read the packaging. So I had this salicylic acid from Primark or Pennies, and it is totally done. This is like the tiniest amount, but like I literally had to tip it onto my face last time I used it, and I couldn't get any more out. So it is done. So this is lovely. The smell of it is really nice and refreshing. 2% salicylic acid with clearing salicylic acid with willow bark, skin clearing salicylic acid with willow bark and licorice root extract. I don't know if that's any good or anything. I think there was an essence one I used before, and maybe one from The Ordinary. I haven't noticed a huge improvement in my skin with any of them. I feel perhaps I need to go for a tretinoin or something. But anyway, happy to use it, and definitely good for the problems I'm trying to deal with my skin. So next up is the Bronze. So my goal was to finish that, and that is finished. Next up is the Bronze, an item that reminds you of a song, musician or band, or makes you want to dance. So for this I picked the Sydney Grace shade Save the Dance, and I'll show you a swatch of this. So beautiful. And my goal was to use this 4 times, and I did. Very happy with that. It's a lovely single, and I know lots of people have gotten Sydney Grace in their Christmas in July sale recently, so that got me thinking about Sydney Grace, and I wanted to use it when I saw other people posting swatches of their new singles and things like that in the last few weeks, as orders have been arriving. So I was glad to have my Sydney Grace shades that I got in the Christmas in July sale last year and get some use out of them. And last but not least, and this was a tricky to get to hit my goal on this, is the Essence Stay All Day 8-Hour Lip Liner in 01 Curious. And I'll show you how much we have left. It's definitely a bit less than was there at the start. So my goal on this was 13 uses. At the minute I have 12. But after I finish this video, I'm going to take off this red lipstick that is to go with the red top that is in honor of Glory. And because I'm wearing quite cool toned eyeshadow, put on a different top and this lip liner. So, and hopefully film another video. So I am going to have hit 13 uses by the end of today. So I figured I would count that as done. So I've still got things I'm working on, and I've got things I'm finished with. So that means we need to roll in 4 new goals. We're running out of goals, so there'll be only 2 left at the end of this. But I do want to continue having 13 in the project, at least for this last run. If I hit more than 2 goals next month before the next update, then I'll have fewer than 13 after that, but that's okay. Or actually, I've thought of a way around that if I hit 3 goals, so we'll see. So I am aware of the fact that we're coming up towards the end of the project, and some things that have been difficult. For example, face palettes. I love face palettes, but they are a little difficult because I have ambitious goals in other projects. I'm not really updating Partners in Cream, which I really should, but I have a very ambitious goal of using a lot of cream blush this year, so I have found it a little tricky, not so much to use powder blush because I have very oily skin. I always top my creams with powders anyway, but to match up the tones of the things I'm using. So sometimes if I've huge goals on certain things, it's been tricky to hit them. So some of these might seem like low goals, but one of them is kind of high. So hold your judgment. So the new prompts that I have pulled are, and this works so well, number 1 is Glorificus, which is glory, a beautiful but evil product. Claire Kramer is certainly beautiful. Glory is certainly evil. So the description for this is it's expensive, has crap packaging, etc., that kind of thing. So I've picked the Pat McGrath Eye Ecstasy Sublime palette, which is both expensive and has shit packaging. Now, actually, it's not that expensive. I got it for €15 because it was half off. It's meant to be €30, which would be ridiculous. So this is 5 tiny Pat McGrath shades, and they're lovely. They're not her like super special shades that you need to buy the big palettes to get, but this is specifically for people to try out the brand, so it's in deliberately kind of crap packaging. Now, I don't think it's the worst packaging in the world, but like it really doesn't go with her aesthetic, so that kind of annoys me. Like if this was a different brand with the same packaging, that would irritate me much less. But also, what I really hate about the packaging is the wasted space. Like, why are they in this formation? They should be in a straight row so it can be slimmer, or there should be an extra shade and it should be like a standard 6-pan or something. It's really irritating how bulky this is. So my goal is pretty minimal on this, and that is to use each shade once. And you might say, well, 5 shades, that's nothing. But actually, I'm not going to do a look using a bunch of these shades together, most likely. For most of these shades, certainly these 3, I would want that shade to be my lid shade. And, you know, I'm not going to go for using loads of these in the same look, because there's no mattes in this palette anyway. This is the only one that I'm like, yeah, I'll probably mix that with something else or use it with something else. I wouldn't use a shade that dark as a lid shade, but like the rest of these are definite standout lid shades. Oh look, it's so red for you and it's so gold for me. Let's see if I can get yeah, you can see the kind of flip there. They're standout lid shades, and therefore this is certainly 4 individual looks, and then this to deepen the outer corner, and then I'll have to use mattes from other palettes, or have to. That's the way I choose to do my makeup. So this will be, you know, a lot of uses of the palette, even though it's only 1 use for each shade, and it's not that many shades. Jumping through hoops to explain myself there, it's ridiculous, but you get me. Crap packaging, but it's pretty beautiful. Glory. Next up is Vampire, a vampire or blood themed item. So, I'm thrilled about this. Ages ago I found this and I was like, oh my god, I hope I pull that prompt and I get to do it. So this is the Profusion Siennas palette, and as you can see, it's a great autumn palette, and we're approaching autumn, so that should work. And one of the shades is named Bite. So I'm very excited, and I think that's great for a vampire themed item. And it's this lovely red shimmer, and I love a red shimmer on the outer corner in particular. So I'm looking forward to doing some nice kind of autumnal looks with that. I've set a goal of 5 uses, and I've just come to realise that with some of these eyeshadows, really high usage goals are quite difficult. I am going to try and see if I can do those 5 uses where I use other shades in the Siennas palette primarily, because I definitely haven't gotten enough use out of that palette and I'm not totally sure how much I love it. So I'm looking forward to getting into the palette a bit more through this, though I don't have a goal to use every shade in the palette or use it a certain number of times or anything beyond the 5 uses of the shade Bite, and I think it's really fun. And obviously vampires are the heart of the show and the number one enemy that Buffy's up against, and her purpose is to defeat them, etc. So I think it's a great prompt and really fun, and I love that I have a shade named Bite, and I think it goes well with them. I'm not sure why it is named that, like the rest of the names don't particularly go with that for me, though they don't make any particular sense either. You know, adventurous, polite, dizzy, what do those have to do with each other? I'm not sure. But anyway, that is my pick for Vampire. Next up is Spike, a product that redeemed itself. So I found this quite difficult because I couldn't think of anything that really fit with that. So this is a bit of a leap, but hear me out. So this is a duo from Glam Shop Poland. It is from their like chocolate cherry collection, and it's a blush and a bronzer. It didn't really need to redeem itself at all. I knew it was a split pan. I knew it'd be small. Obviously, you're very much at risk of getting both on your brush when you dip in here. So it hasn't so much redeemed itself, but I have found a great way to use this, which is using smaller brushes, obviously. So this is the Flower Beauty Precision Blush Brush. Easily fits on just the blush side, so that's fine. I got this in Chemist Warehouse on Grafton Street, or on O'Connell's, or what's the one on the north side? Henry Street, Jesus. Which, if you're in Ireland and you haven't seen Flower Beauty, maybe go have a look there. Very excited. And then I have, and it's a very small blush brush, so it's like just a big highlighter brush, and I think it's genius. Before this, I did used to use a big highlighter brush in my Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette, because the blush pan in that is tiny. The blush pan in that is like the eyeshadow pans in this palette, like really small for a blush pan. And then for the bronzer side, I have this Zoeva 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek. I got it in TK Maxx, but obviously you can get it on the Zoeva website. Showing you my table there. And it fits just there. So I'm very happy with these brushes, not redeeming this product for me, but making this product more user-friendly for me than it was with my normal bigger brushes, because here's an example of a brush that I sometimes use for bronzer. Huge, absolutely huge. So let's see how this is an EcoTools brush. Like, it can fit the entire pan. There's like almost no way you could have it just on one side. So redeemed or made more user-friendly by smaller brushes. Thank you, Spike. Next up is Becoming, an item you love with all your heart but you've realised needs to die. So Becoming, that's where Buffy has to kill Angel to save the world. Very, very sad. So she was willing to do that, but she wasn't willing to kill Dawn to save the world, because sisters are forever. Even if they're made just for you to keep them safe. So an item that you love with all your heart but you've realised needs to die. This doesn't need to die. I'm not going to get rid of it just because I say so and I love it and I'm going to keep it forever. But is it going to be great for me to keep using this on my skin much longer? Probably not. So you might remember this Elizabeth Arden palette from my first couple of updates. And that's where I hit pan for the master. So I picked this as one of the oldest items in my makeup collection previously. So in a way, this doesn't need to die, but it will soon. You know, how much longer can I get away with using it? This blush is one of my absolute top favourite blushes ever. It is the perfect neutral, just so easy to use. I absolutely love this colour. Like, kind of goes with everything, wouldn't clash with any look. Absolutely love it. So my goal is to use that 13 times. So I've blush here, goal is only 5 uses, and then this is 13 uses, because I know that this more bright pink colour of the Glam Shop Duo will just be a little more challenging to use. It won't go with every look than this very neutral colour from Elizabeth Arden. So I think that works, and like the Elizabeth Arden one will literally be able to go over different shades of cream blush underneath and still work because it is that neutral. So that's the kind of experience I've gained from doing this project, and having like I have so much glitter on my hands now. Oh, you can't even see it. High usage goals on different cheek products. So those are my 13, you can see all my swatches of different things, goals that I still have going forward. The 4 new ones joining the club, very exciting. I am looking forward to next update. I'm going to talk about season 6, which is my favourite episode ever. And I'm looking forward to watching other people's updates. I know this is a few days late, so people will have posted their updates already. I had an intention to film this on Sunday before going to a hen party. That was ridiculous. That was never going to happen. So it's been a few days. Thank you so much for watching. I have been thinking about TV shows and what they mean to me, because I've obviously I binged the whole of Buffy for this project to remind myself and to be able to talk about each season, etc. in detail, in depth. It got a bit out of hand with this, with the 17 minutes, sorry about that. But I've also then kind of been on a bent of watching other supernatural TV shows and things like that, and I've been loving this show Motherland, which is on its 3rd season now, and the 1st season is on Disney Plus in Ireland if you live where I live and want to watch it, and it is so good. It's just so good, and like everything Buffy meant to me in terms of having this really strong female protagonist who was out fighting evil, Motherland is some of that stuff just really heightened, because it's totally matriarchal setup of witches fighting bad guys, fighting all kinds of things that they're told to fight in the 1st season, but then fighting bad guys, proper bad guys going forward. So it's really good, and just been making me think about, you know, the huge impact that, you know, our world is not set up for women at all, and the levels of discrimination are very, very high, and being able to see, you know, something completely different, and some of the things that we would want and some of the changes we would want on screen is really powerful. And you know, it's the power of storytelling and the power of art, and I need that. It means a lot to me. So yeah, if you have been loving Buffy too, and like me blew through it because of doing this project, maybe go check out Motherland. Motherland Fort Salem is what it's called, and has a short blonde superhero protagonist, just like Buffy does. So I think very much in line. It's not as funny as Buffy. It doesn't really have the humour Buffy has, but it has all the other things. It has the heart. And I do think, obviously there's loads of humour in every season of Buffy, but I think season 5 it's more heart than some of the other seasons, and you know, still the humour, but like episodes like The Body don't have that much humour. It's heart. It's you know, it's about all those very normal human things, but still in this supernatural setup of the Buffy universe. So go and enjoy watching season 5, or even just some of those favourite episodes I talked about if you haven't seen them recently. And have a great day. Thanks for watching. Grr. Arg.